Hi, my name is Gudrun from GE Designs. Welcome to Facebook Friday. Hi everybody, happy Friday to all of you, and thank you for being with me here on a dreary Friday here in Minnesota. We had some snowflakes. Ooh, yeah, sometimes it snows in April, really. I'm so excited to have you here because, of course, we are stepping into our first step of the strip along, the strip to shore strip along. And so before I get into all of that, I have quite a few things to chat with you about. First off, we got to celebrate. So, of course, I have my cocktail of the day ready to go. I thought I should stay in the theme of the pattern being called strip to shore. So my cocktail of the day is called the Stripper Dipper. So here it is. In here you will find some rum, pineapple rum and dark rum to give it a little bit of that depth. And then I have grapefruit juice, pineapple juice, lime juice, and some sparkling water, just a little bit of agave. You could put more if you don't feel it sweet enough. You can put more agave in there. Just kind of stir it up with some ice, and then you top it with some sparkling water. So the recipe is right there. I will post the recipe in the crew later. And then you top it with just a little cherry and some grapefruit. So cheers, everybody. You could see I started a little early, so I got a few sips in before. But I'm going to table it for now because I need to do some cutting. And then I'll finish it after I'm done cutting. Now, last week we had a giveaway. And so our winner of last week's show is Patricia Smith. Congratulations, Patricia. You will have won a shopping spree, $25 gift card to the GE Quilt Design store, and we will be contacting you. And I asked you all actually, what was under your needle? That was the giveaway question, and she is working on some table mats for Easter. So what a great idea, and isn't everybody just loving having some time to just do all these little things? Now, if you're new here, please post in the comments where you are tuning in from, your name and where you're tuning in from. Say hi to everybody. We're all a big family here. I see we have a lot of people joining us live today, so I'm very excited about that from all over. I see Canada, I see Washington, North Dakota, Chicago, Maryland, Michigan, New York, Iceland. Hi, Auntie from Iceland. I see Texas. I see more Canada, Pennsylvania. This is awesome. Hawaii. Welcome, welcome, everybody. We got Florida, Mississippi, Missouri. So great to have everybody here. And I hope you are all gearing to go. I've been seeing some excitement for the strip along. Now, I wanted to tell you, first off, thank you all so much for all of your orders. We have been busy and getting all of your orders out. A little bit of an update on the trimmers. A lot of you have ordered the trimmers, and we were hoping to get them this week. Unfortunately, we're not getting them until next week, like I mentioned in post. So what we've been doing, or I mentioned that on Tipsy Tuesday. So what we did is, if you placed an order for trimmers and something else, we shipped everything else to you. So hopefully you got it. But the trimmers will be arriving by the end of next week. Of course, the manufacturer everybody's low on staff, so they are doing their best. So I'm really excited that we'll be getting them next week. So I have a resolution for all of you that I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but just know that that is the situation with the shipping of the trimmers. So if you noticed that you got a shipping notification and no trimmers, this is why. But don't worry, I'll take care of no need to pay extra shipping or anything. I'll take care of it all and get it out to you next week for sure. And so very excited about this. And if you got your patterns, so a lot of you ordered the PDF patterns, so you should be all set. Those of you that ordered printed patterns and have not received them, and you really want to get started today after the show, please just email me, and I'll be happy to, if you want to go into the store and purchase the PDF so you can have it right away, I'll be happy to reimburse you if you've already purchased the paper pattern. Happy to do that. So please just email me. It's hard for me to keep track of stuff that comes through social media, so don't send me an instant message on Facebook. or put it in a comment on Facebook. Just email me directly. Okay, so we are going to continue on. So couple of options that we're doing with the strip to shore quilt along. So let me just remind you what we talked about last week. So the four different options are, let's put up the first sheet here with the original layouts. So this is the original, the two different versions that we're going to offer. The original has, as you can see, the 4 colors in the hexagon circle. And then we have the simplified, where it is just 2 colors in the circle. So I'm going to show you the difference on cutting on those. And then we have, for the layout, we have 2 different options, which is the original as you saw before, or spaced. So you can do the original spaced or the simplified spaced. We're not going to talk about this until next week about the layouts, but I am going to show you all the cutting for the blocks and how the blocks are put together today. So that is what we are going to tackle. Now I'm going to show you all the different tools that you can use for the cutting. And so of course I'll show you the Stripology XL ruler, and I'll show you how you can do all the same things with the original Stripology ruler as well. So I am going to just kind of go through it and use the overhead camera so everybody can see that really well. And then after the whole thing, I'll tackle some of your questions. So if you have questions as we are going through it, hold on to it a little bit until I go through the whole thing, because I may answer your question a little bit later in the demo. So then after the demo, I will take questions. And that is, you know, anything specific about what I just did, anything specific about the pattern. So just post them and I will try and get to them. So there is a sheet that you can download. So let me just tackle this before we go. The place to see everything and find everything, including the fabric requirements sheet if you want to do any of the different options for the pattern. Of course, if you just want to do the pattern as it is on the pattern cover, the fabric requirements are on the back here and they are complete, just refer to that. But this sheet, always just go to my blog. So GE Quilt Designs is the website and there's a blog button. And so now I have a strip along blog post and it has all the links to all of these sheets where to find everything. So this is one that I showed you last week where you can print that out, and it gives you just a little bit of an adjustment on yardage if you want to do the simplified versions, or adjustment on the background fabric for the space versions. So that's where you'll find that. I updated the blog post just before the show to include another sheet like this. This is called the cutting for block, like cutting reference sheet. So it's what I'm going to go through, but here's the deal. Because all of you are not going to be getting your trimmers in time for today, I decided that I'm giving you all a trimmer. So right here you have the template for the trimmer on this sheet. So if you print that out, download this and print it out. It's just a PDF. Print it out and you can cut that template out and place it on a ruler. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So first off, when you pull that up on your device and you print it, make sure to print it 100%. So a lot of software already scales down your prints and something you want to fit on a page. So don't say fit to page, print at 100%. And a way to check it, I actually included a little 1-inch square here, so you can just go ahead and measure that square, grab a ruler and measure the square, and if it's 1 inch exactly after you print it out, you know that this is going to be to scale. So then you will just cut out that little trimmer template. Of course the actual trimmer will be much handier, but this is a way to be able to use it. So then what I did, I just took a small ruler and I taped it to the back of the ruler. So you want to make sure that the blunt edge is on the top, even with the edge of the ruler. And I just use clear tape to tape it to it, and you have a workaround trimmer right there. So this is for everybody, but I just want to do something so everybody could join in and not be frustrated by not having their trimmers. Okay, deal? Are we ready to roll? Do we have to answer any questions right off the bat? Lots of people joining, so great to see everybody. Okay, great. So those are the two, this is the only additional sheet that I want you to print out. However, if you have the Stripology or Stripology XL rulers that you're going to be using, and you haven't printed out this little sheet that I made about a month ago, I talked about it on a Tipsy Tuesday episode. This is the cutting half hexagon cutting chart. There's also a link to this on the blog post, so make sure you print this one out because we're going to be using this for cutting the half hexagons for the blocks. All right, let me have another sip of my stripper dipper, and let's get to cutting. So I talked to you about in the pattern, so I'm going to pull out the pattern over here. So in the pattern for cutting the background, I told you not to cut the background yet because I'm going to space this out. So for this first part, we're just going to cut the strips that we need to make the blocks. And that includes the half hexagons we're going to use right in here. So in the cutting instructions in the pattern for the background, I actually start with binding strips. So don't cut those yet. And then I talk about 1-inch strips for sashing. Don't cut those yet. But we're going to cut the 2.5-inch strips for the half hexagon. So you can go ahead and cut that for whatever size you're making, and you're going to cut the amount of strips that is set in the pattern. So then let's take our strips and get ready to cut our half hexagons. So I'm just going to start with the tools that is recommended in the original pattern, which are either a 60-degree ruler, which you can use either size of the Creative Grids sizes. Works the same, has the same markings, so just more convenient to use a smaller one. Or you can use the 60-degree diamond ruler by Krista Moser. So I'm going to show you how to use either one of those. So for this one, we're going to be cutting on using the 4.5-inch line on the bottom. So I like to, of course, use my little ruler stickers and place them right at the bottom of that 4.5-inch line, because that is the line I'm going to be aligning with the bottom of my strip, like this. And I'm just going to cut on each side. And then you turn your ruler, and then you use the other side and use that line on the top of that strip. And that way we're going to cut our half hexagons. Now, if you have the diamond ruler, there is a marking, same marking, so there's a 4.5-inch mark here that you can just use to align with the bottom and use that the exact same way. It's going to be the exact same measurement. So if you have, I wanted to talk about something else. If you have a 60-degree triangle ruler that is not a Creative Grids, just be aware that the lines, that is the numbering on those lines, is sometimes very off, or I don't even know how they got those measurements. The way the Creative Grids rulers work is that we have this 4.5-inch line here. That means that from here to the tip is 4.5 inches, which means that you'll be using 4.5-inch strips to cut. So other rulers, you could still use them, but it's probably not going to be the 4.5-inch line. So what I do recommend that you do is just take a regular ruler, and what we want to do is measure that line here on the bottom. So I would just measure along this line. So this line needs to be 5.5 inches from here to here. So just take a ruler, put it on your triangle ruler, and kind of go down until you find a line that is from edge to edge 5.5 inches. Put some stickers on there and use that line. Does that make sense? All right. I think you all said yes. So we're going to move on. Now, of course, what I'm going to do with these guys is take my trimmer and trim off the bottom corners like that, because that will help make everything fit together really nicely. And so if you don't have the trimmer and you make the make do trimmer like this, what you do is have that template on the bottom. You make sure that you align it so that both edges of the template are even with the sides of the fabric, and then you can trim off. So works pretty slick when you don't have the real deal. So now I'm going to show you how to do this with the Stripology XL ruler. So what we're going to do there, this is why I wanted you to download this particular piece of paper. So for this one, we're going to be using this second line here. So the chart for the second line. So I'm going to leave it in here so we can look at it. And then I want to just take my strip. I'm going to lay it diagonally on my cutting mat along that 60-degree line, which is very, very handy. I'm going to use this one so that you can see. And then I bring my ruler. I want to align the 60-degree line on the ruler along the bottom of the strip. So right here I have it aligned, making sure I trim all my salvages off. And then the first cuts I'm going to do are through the 0, 7, and 14. So 0, 7, I actually did just mark it with my pink arrows to prepare, because I'm going to be doing a lot of these, and 14. So now all I'm going to do is remove that little sliver that I trimmed off, and then I'm going to turn my ruler so that the 60-degree line going from the top down is now aligned with the top of the strip. However, this corner here, I don't want it on the 0 slit. I'm going to slide the ruler over a little bit further so that it is now aligned with the first dotted line, the 1/4 inch line. So right where this green arrow is pointing. So I have the top corner here on that 1/4 inch line. Everything else is lined up. And now I'm ready to cut my second cut through the 2, 9, and 16. I actually marked it with my blue arrows. So that blue is my second cut, 9, and 16. And this way I have all my half hexagons ready to trim the points off each corner. Now if you have the original ruler, and so with the original Stripology you only have one diagonal line, so I'm going to show you that as well, how you can still make it work. So here's the original with just one line. So I'm going to grab a strip just like before, and then we're going to follow the same cuts as we did with the XL. Nothing really different. We're going to cut through the 0, 7, and 14. So now, of course, we can't turn our ruler. So what do we do now? So here's what we do. Now we have these really large parallelograms. So I'm going to pick them up, both of them, and actually flip them over like this. Still going to keep them at an angle. And I'm going to take this guy, because I can get one more from that, and just place it on top here. All right, so now this is going on. I'm going to bring my ruler over and still align the bottom of the line along the bottom here, but we're going to move the ruler up so that the bottom corner here gets aligned with that dotted line here on the corner. So right here. And then, as this chart states, we're going to be cutting only on the 2-inch. So only on the 2-inch. And guess what? You get your half hexies this way. So they're stacked up and ready to go. All right, that's slick. So that is it for our background fabric. Next step is to cut our strips. So what I want you to do is take your strips. If you have full width strips, I want you to open them up, and I want you to give them a press out that little fold in the middle. And the first I'm going to show you is just the cutting for the original version. Now I wanted to show you this little chart here. So what I have here is I show you exactly cutting for the back from the background fabric, the half hexagons. I'll show you exactly how to do that if you need any reference sheets or anything else. So now we're going to the assorted 2.5 inch strips, the original. If you have the triangle or the diamond rule or the hexagon, just refer to the pattern how to do that, and I'm going to also show you, and then I'm going to also show you how to do it with the XL or original Stripology. So I have my strips. If you have the pattern and you just are going to be using triangles or a diamond, so I start by just trimming the edge of the strip so we get that 60-degree angle on the strip. So now we're going to cut diamonds. So we're going to cut 2.5 inch wide diamonds. So then you just want to use a regular ruler. So I have this ruler, so here's my 2.5 inch line. So I want to place the 2.5 inch line on that trimmed edge, so on that bias edge. So we're measuring 2.5 inches here from here to here, not along this side. So here, and so we're just going to cut 5 of those like this. And once you have these 5 cut, we're going to cut rectangles from the rest. So you cut your 5, and then once you have your 5, you're just going to turn your strip and you're going to cut rectangles. So you need 5 diamonds and then 5 rectangles. Now if you're using the Stripology, then it's fairly easy. So same thing with both the XL and the original. We just place it on top, align the 60-degree line along the bottom here. So we start with our diamonds and we just go through the 2.5 inch increments. So I'm just looking for my black squares and I'm just counting 5 of them. This is 4 and this is 5. So there it is. And then I turn my strip because now I'm going to cut the rectangles and align things back up using a horizontal lines on the bottom of the strip. And then we're going to cut. Now, of course, if you wanted to, you can stack a few strips up and cut them layered so that you're kind of getting a little more out of your time and effort. So here we have 4, so you just have to go back and cut 1 more because, and I always, when I'm cutting again, just 1 more, I always start by going through the 0 first and then the 4.5. So here are my 4 rectangles and 4 diamonds. So this is for the original cutting, for the original layout of the pattern. So now we're going to move on to the simplified layout. And I'm going to start with, I'm actually going to start with the triangles if you're using just a triangle ruler or the diamond ruler. So I'm going to take a strip, and this is where we need to read along the reference sheet for the cutting. So simplified, we are going to be cutting 6 diamonds, and then we're going to cut 3 trapezoids. So instead of cutting 5 diamonds like we just did earlier, we're going to cut 6. So I'm not going to really show you how to do that because you can do that with just by seeing the previous video. But we're going to cut trapezoids. We need trapezoids that are going to be filling. So let me just show you here. I have a block. So we have a block like this. So we have the 2 diamonds and we need that trapezoid because that one is not going to have a seam in the middle. So we are going to be using on these triangle rulers or the diamond ruler, it's going to be the 6.5 inch line. So 6.5 inch line, and we're going to just cut them, cut one angle and then the other angle. And here's my trapezoid, and then turn it and do the same thing. Align the top. And so you would cut 3 from the strip, and then 6 diamonds. That's the alternate that you need to change from doing the simplified versus the original. Okay, so then from one whole strip, you actually get 3 blocks. If you're using I'm going to show you how to do it with the Stripology. And so then I just want to lay my strip out this way. And I bring my ruler over. And I would probably start with my diamonds. So I showed you that before. So you just cut on the black squares. I'm going to move this up so you can see better. So now I'm going to cut the trapezoids. And that is described down here. The actual cuts that you're going to make, it's described down here. So I'm just going to show you. First cuts are going to be through the 0 and the 11. Okay, and then I'm going to turn my ruler just like we did when we were doing half hexagons. Align the top 60-degree line on the top, and then slide it over so that the corner is on the dotted line. And then I make my second cuts, which are on this sheet. We're going to move it 1/4 inch line. Second cuts are going to be on the 4 and the 15. So on the 4 and then on the 15. So then I get my 3 trapezoids, and they will be matching up with my diamonds. Now if you have the original Stripology, let me show you that real quick so that everybody can make it work. You will just start the same way by doing just like what I did with the XL. We're going to cut on the 0 and the 11. And then we're going to take that piece, we're going to flip it like this. And this one too. Lay it on top. Of course, you probably cut your diamonds first so that that strip will be shorter. And then we're going to do the same thing like doing the half hexagons. Align it with a line and then move it over to the dotted line. And then just make our one cut on the 4. That one cut will give us 3 trapezoids. All right, so now we have all of our cutting. And we're going to move into how we put this together. So I'm going to start with the original. So you are just going to follow along the pattern. And let me show you. I have, here are the pieces that I cut for the original. So for the original, the block consists of a half hexagon and then 2 different colors. So you want to maybe pair up first. You want to decide which 2 colors you want from your fabrics. And now I didn't cut any rectangles from my orange, so let me just do that really quickly. So you want to pair up which 2 colors you want together in a block, and that you're going to start with getting one rectangle and a matching diamond and another rectangle and a matching diamond. So I just like to kind of group them together to make myself kind of an assembly line. So these are going to be together, and of course along with a half hexagon from the background fabric. So then we're just going to follow along in the pattern. We're going to start by adding the diamonds to each side of the, we want them to look like this. So we're going to add them to each side. Now if you have trimmed the corners off, let me move this in over here. So we want them to be like this. And if you remove the corners, you will see when you place that diamond, you can place it right even here. You'll see the dogger ear is sticking up here, but of course the trimmer will remove that, so the the diamond will be even on both sides. And then you place the other one like this. So this is a little bit weird, but you're going to sew this way and this way. So we're going to look something like this once we press it. Now in the pattern it says to press in the same direction. I've just learned that it's easier just to press away from the background hexagon. So just make sure that you're a little bit careful, because this is a bias edge. Make sure you always fold your piece out first with your fingers and then just go over it with your iron, and always press from the right side. So that's like this. Our next step is just sewing together the matching rectangles. So we're just going to sew them together right here. And I have my little step-up pieces here somewhere. There they are. So I'm going to move out of these orange ones. So here I have, here I have my 2 pieces sewn together onto the background hexagon. And then I have these guys sewn together. Now this seam can go either way. It doesn't matter. You can press it to either direction. It really doesn't matter. So now we're going to sew this guy to this. You can do 2 different things. You can, if you want to, trim beforehand, trim this piece beforehand. I don't describe that in the pattern. You can do that, and that way you would just use that 6.5 inch line on the ruler. You have a center line that you can align with the seam, and then you can just trim these off on each side before you sew it on. Or you can just pretty much center it on your unit like this. Just center it on your unit. Easy to do. What I would do, I just fold this in half, make a little crease here, and then I can match my seam up with a crease, pop a couple of pins in there, and I will just sew this on and then press it so your unit will look like this. Now the last step for this would just be taking your ruler and trim this on each side. So then you would actually be using the whole bottom side if you have the short ruler. Whole bottom side here, and trim each side, and you have your block right here. If you have a diamond ruler, that will be the same thing. If you want to, you can also just use a ruler like this. Just lay it on this angle and trim it. What is nice to use the triangle rulers for this is because we sometimes get a little distorted when we're working with bias edges. So this way we can kind of, even though we got a little distorted, we can trim it up really nicely and it's the right size. All right, so this is the original assembly. So now I'm gonna show you how to do the simplified. So the simplified is, we're really only gonna use the same, we're gonna use the same color all the way around. So because we cut 3 trapezoids and 6 triangles, or 6 diamonds from each fabric, we are just going to start by sewing the 2 diamonds to the half hexagon, just like we did before, but we're just using the same fabric on each side. And you'll see how when you use the trimmers, how everything kind of matches up nicely. We're going to press it out, so then it looks like this. And then now we're going to take our trapezoids that we cut from the same fabric. I trimmed my points off so that when I place this on top, this will match edge to edge here. I don't have to worry about placement. It should be all good. And I can just sew, and then I press this way, and then I have my blocks right here. So that is all. And if you take the time to trim off all these points, your block will end up with trimmed points on all sides, ready to make that assembly even easier. All right, that is it for both assembly, cutting, all your cutting, and the assembly. So I have a feeling we have some questions. So I'm gonna have a little sip now and check out for your questions. So let's see. If you're confused, I see people are confused. I understand. I'm throwing it all out there in a demonstrational way. So please watch it back. So this video will stay in the crew, but we're also posting it on YouTube. So again, go to my blog. We will have links there that will easily take you to either one, so that it's easy to go back and watch. And then you can just pause Have your pieces in front of you, have your rulers in front of you, place them like I did, and then it'll be piece of cake. All right. Any other questions? Okay, somebody just started piecing and loves how flat the block is. Isn't it great?
Will the Tri-Rex ruler work?
Lucy says, I don't know why, but I thought we did not need a triangle ruler. You don't. If not, if you have the Stripology, either original or XL. What was your question?
Will Tri-Rex ruler work?
Tri-Rex is not a 60-degree triangle. Tri-Rex is an off triangle. So no, Tri-Rex will not work, unfortunately. We need that 60-degree angle.
Where is that cutting sheet?
Everything is on the blog. So again, I'm not going to answer the same questions over and over. To find links to all of these sheets, find the blog. gequiltdesigns.com, blog button. Okay? All right, so great way to learn shapes. Yes, so we have to refresh our geometry classes, trapezoids, diamonds, parallelograms. We're only using diamonds and trapezoids and half hexagons, which is a trapezoid. So that's all good. All right. Everything is making sense. Yay! Great. Do we trim the corners of the trapezoid? Yes. So this trapezoid, you want to trim both of these corners because then everything will fit like I showed you on this guy. So here it is all trimmed off the corners. And so then when you place them on top, everything will fit really, really nicely. Like that. Okay, one thing I didn't talk about, and I know I forgot to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it now. So if you don't have full width strips, I know some of you wanted to cut fat quarters, so then your strips are only 21 inches. So then I just told you you would just always need, you know, a matching pair. So if they're like this, don't worry, you don't have to sew them together before you cut them. So then you would just, if you're doing the original, you just cut your diamonds, or your diamonds first, and you would get one of the rectangles out of the first strip, all your diamonds, and then one rectangle, and then you would just use the other one for your other 4 rectangles. If you're doing the simplified, you can cut all your diamonds from one and then all your trapezoids from the other. So not a big deal.
Do we cut the background into 2.5-inch strips?
The background, yeah, just like it's said in the pattern, nothing changes with cutting the background strips. It's just the option of cutting them into the half hexagon that is different depending on what tool you're going to use. All right. So Kim says for the trapezoids, if we're using the hexagon ruler, what line do we line up with, or how long should it be from the bottom of one side? Great question. So let me measure that for you. I believe the hex and more should be the same numbering on there. I don't have one with me, but I think it should be the same. So let me see. So from tip to tip, if you measure it, the line, it should be, it's 7 and it's between like the 7 5/8 and 7 3/4. So about 7 3/4, I would say. 7 3/4. Okay, 7 3/4 is that line for the trapezoids. All right.
How to add the spacing?
Oh, the spacers. For the space, we're not talking about layouts yet. So that's next week. A week from today, we'll talk about the layout, then I'll talk about cutting the spacing. So all I want you to do for this week is work on your blocks. Don't worry if you don't get them all done. Just work on your blocks. If you get them all done, just put them aside. I have a feeling you have some other projects going on. So, or if you don't, find another one to work on until we're back live next Friday for the layout. So then I'll show you all the cutting for the layouts, putting it together. And again, this is why I didn't want you to cut all your background, because I'm going to show you some different ways of cutting it depending on what tool you're using. Okay? Okay. Everybody's asking the same questions about where to find it. That's great. Cassie said, can't find the sheet with the trimmer guide. In the blog, in the blog, in the blog. Okay. Melissa says, I might get a 60-degree ruler. Seems easier than Stripology. I don't think so. Once you get the hang of the Stripology, especially if you have your stickers, it's a lot faster. A lot faster. And actually more accurate too, because we're not worried about that angle twisting when you're placing the ruler. All right. Yes, so Allison's asking, now you need to decide between the simplified or the original. Yes, this of course, before you cut your strips, you have to decide on which one. Do you want 4 colors or just 2? So I am actually, my quilt is going to be made with 2, just because I've already made a couple with the 4. So I have some blocks already done, because of course I had to test it completely before I presented it to you. And so it's all good. Oh, Jennifer says, I didn't think I needed the Stripology XL ruler, but I think I do now. It is quite amazing. It can do so many fun things. Okay. Okay, Cheryl says, I can't find the reference sheet. I'm on GE Designs. Remember to put that quilt in there, gequiltdesigns.com. Okay. On the blog. And just to remind you, you can go back and watch this whole video. So I think I'm not finding any specific questions that I think I need to address. All of it is about where I can find stuff. And this was too fast. Of course, then you need to watch it again. Rewatch the video. And so Barbara says, I wish I would repeat twice, but you can watch the video 10 times if you want to. Not a big deal. And rewind, go back, rewind, go back. Not a problem. Okay, Melanie says, I love how your brain works and makes this pattern accessible to people with different tools on hand. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I love to just make things easier for you. So all the math on using the Stripology for all the trapezoids and stuff, it takes some testing, but it's the kind of stuff I enjoy doing. So I love to find ways to use it. Because if you invest in a Stripology ruler, you should really be using it for everything. So I want you to be able to use it for everything. It's great. All right. That's really great. I think everybody's just happy with all the tips. So I don't see any question. Are you finding any question, Mr. Producers, that I need to address? Or... So somebody said a printout for the original ruler would be so much help. I do talk about it in the same printout. It's the same exact thing. I just tell you which slits to cut through, which are the same things for the original. It's just, and then I just tell you, watch the video for reference of the technique. So. Marcia says, do we go buy the pattern or the new chart? You don't need to buy anything. If you only have to buy the pattern once. And so if you have the pattern, you're good to go. And then all these sheets I'm providing at no extra cost. So.
Give a photo of the quilt that is done simplified.
Not yet. My quilt, this was a question. Do you have a photo of the quilt done simplified? Nope. Just a computer diagram. So maybe, can you put that up again? I think this is the slide first. Yeah. So you can see between the original and the simplified. So the original has 4 colors in each hexagon circle, and the simplified has just 2. So that's the difference. So I don't have a quilt ready because I am going to be sewing it right along with you. So here are my blocks for the simplified. Well, a few of them. I have quite a few to go because I'm going to be making the lap size. So probably be one of my donation quilts at the end of the year, so I'm excited about that. And all of these strips came out of my bins. So I told you last Friday that I was just going to use these blues and these low volume fabrics, but I couldn't stand it, so I added in some kind of corally reds in there, so it'll be a sparkle of red too. So, okay, any other cool questions that I need?
Is it possible to use layer cakes?
Layer cakes, so here's the thing, I hate to waste fabric. So layer cakes, you only get 10-inch long strips. So you would have to you could probably only get 2 blocks out of a layer cake. So you're kind of wasting a lot of fabric. But you could, of course, make it work. Anything is possible. If you really want to, you could. But just cut it into 2.5-inch strips. All right.
Can we use smaller Stripology ruler?
The squared ruler, so the squared ruler will, because it does not have the 60-degree line. However, you can use, if you want to do cutting through the same slits, if you have a cutting mat that has a 60-degree line, you can lay your strip at the 60-degree line. Make sure that your squared ruler is parallel with the lines of the cutting mat, and you can do your cuts. Okay? So you can, you know, technically you can, but it's really hard because the ruler itself does not have a 60-degree line. Now, have I been known to draw a line on top of my rulers? Yes, I have. You can do that with a air erase or dry erase marker. So you could draw your own 60-degree line.
Curious, what software do you use to draw your quilts?
I use Illustrator to design and do all my illustrations. It's not a quilting software. All right, any other questions? Everybody, oh, somebody says, I think we got it. Thanks. That's fabulous. I hope that Joanne, you are talking for Johanna, I think you are talking for everybody. I hope so. Now, if you have specific questions, or when you get to your workstation, you're working on it, and if you're really confused and you're still watching the video and you still have questions, just make sure that you make a post in the crew, Gudrun's Quilt crew. We have a lot of people that are ready to help. If I see it, I'll answer all the questions, and we're just gonna have fun. Remember that we're just gonna have fun with this. There's no stress. We got all week, and even if you only make a few blocks this week, it's all good. So you don't even need to cut up all your strips. Just cut a few, make a few blocks. It's always kind of fun to see a few of them come together and see. It's just, makes it more fun. It's just kind of what I had to do last night. Just make a few blocks and see how it comes together. And of course, even more fun when you lay it out and see how it's going to turn out. So that's just fun. But I have a few more things to show you. We've been, as you probably have experienced and know, that we've been really, really busy here in the GE Designs business, and which means my house. So we're utilizing everybody in the house to help. So the kids are here, and of course they're put to work. If the dog could pack orders and fold fabric, he would be, but he is pretty useless in that sense, except he provides some entertainment and it makes us get up and move around a little bit. But so we actually are getting more and more fabric thanks to you. You purchased a lot of our 1-yards when we launched the 1-yard, so we got a lot more new 1-yards in, really great background fabrics. And if you don't know about our 1-yards, the more you buy, the better the deal is. So for they're 12 bucks a piece. They're packaged like this because we can't cut to you cut custom orders. We just don't have the capacity here in the house. So we package them like this, 1-yards, and then you buy 5, the price drops to 10 bucks a yard. When you buy 10, and it could be assortment, it drops to 9. So we have a lot more new ones, cool ones that came in, and more is coming next week. And we have a new bundle that I have to show you. A really cool bundle that is called the Moongate bundle. Some cool modern fabrics from Maywood. And I just love these fresh colors. So they're really, really cool, really fresh yellows and oranges, and then some really cool pinks, and kind of geometric, modern, and could be used for anything, I think. And kind of got a little space theme to it. So we got some moons, we got some stars, and I love the names of the colors. So then we go into the blue. So we have the navy, and then we have these kind of grayish, almost lavender, but I just really like this fresh take on. Kind of includes all the other colors, and then some turquoise. And I just love this, really, really fun. So this is brand new in the store, and we have some more coming. I've got some questions on if we were getting more of the Sunprint bundle, and I was able to secure some more fabric. So we're getting the Sunprint bundle back in stock next week. So hopefully it'll be here before our Tipsy Tuesday episode. But we are going to finish off with a giveaway, of course. Now for this strip along, we're not doing specific winners for each part, but we're gonna have winners in all of the videos. So we have, I have a question for you. So all you have to do is answer my giveaway question, and then you're automatically entered to win $25 gift cards. So here's my question. I'm kind of like, I need some ideas. So this is why I wanted to ask this question. What is the last good book that you read? And I know a lot of you probably listen, like me. I listen to books when I'm sewing. So I would love to get some ideas. What was the last book? And maybe it was a quilt book. Maybe it was one of my quilt books. So that's all good. So I just want to hear what was the last book you read. And then I will see you, hopefully I'll see you next Tuesday. We will have a Tipsy Tuesday this coming Tuesday at 7 p.m. Yes, I'm a stripologist. And 7 p.m. will be our Tipsy Tuesday. I am showing you some great things about maybe some more Elvira's. I'm going to focus on some quilting ideas for Elvira, and a little message from our friend Debbie Brown. She has a class ready for you if you want to attempt quilting it yourself, both a free motion and a walking foot. So I'll be talking about that. And then maybe some other fun stuff this coming Tuesday. And then, of course, next Friday will be our next step in our strip along. So same time, 3 p.m. Central Time. And of course, we will start with a refresher. But hopefully you'll be able to try your version maybe of a stripper dipper. But I'm going to finish mine this Friday, and I'm gonna go play with some of these things I just cut up, and hopefully catch up and be with you with my blocks close to being done this coming Friday. But that is it for me. Take care of yourselves, stay home, and be safe, and have some fun with some stripping. Cheers, everybody. See you later.